You used to be the kind of person who was always on the go, dropping by to visit friends, attending every gathering, never missing a chance to catch up. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. You started feeling less eager to make the rounds, and you know what? That's perfectly okay. As we get older, everything begins to slow down, not just our bodies, but our hearts too. We start to value quiet moments and choose relationships that bring peace, rather than holding on to every connection out of habit or politeness. Pulling back from frequent visits doesn't mean you've become distant or uncaring. It's the sign of someone wise, someone who knows how to protect their time, energy, and emotional well-being. Because in the end, true love and friendship aren't measured by how often you show up, but by how present, genuine, and meaningful you are when you do. When we were younger, it felt like we had endless energy. Driving across town just for a cup of coffee with a friend, sitting through hours of conversation at social gatherings, or attending every event we were invited to, it all felt easy, even exciting. But over time, something starts to shift. It's not that we care less about our friends or don't enjoy good company. It's simply that, we don't have the same stamina we once did. At this stage in life, our energy becomes more precious than ever. Some mornings we wake up feeling sore, and by the afternoon, we crave a quiet corner to read or sip tea. That's not laziness, it's a natural change in rhythm. And with it comes something else, the wisdom to choose more carefully, where we go, who we see, and which conversations are truly worth our time. We no longer feel the need to maintain every social connection just to be polite. Instead, we gravitate toward relationships that feel comforting, genuine, and easy. We value being around people who let us be ourselves, no pressure, no pretense. It might be an old friend, a kind neighbor with a warm smile, or a grandchild who runs into our arms with joy. Choosing to spend energy on meaningful connections isn't selfish, it's clarity. We understand that every moment now matters, and we simply can't spread ourselves too thin across every interaction. That's not a loss, it's a gain in intention and depth. So if you found yourself going out less, skipping the occasional party, or no longer feeling the urge to accept every invitation, don't feel guilty. You're not pulling away from life, you're leaning into what matters most. You're taking care of yourself, both physically and emotionally. And when you do give your time to someone, it's because you truly want to, not because you feel obligated. That's not isolation. That's a sign of growth, of choosing a more meaningful way to live, where quality matters more than quantity, and where heartfelt connections mean far more than surface-level conversations ever could. There comes a point in life when we all begin to realize something deeply true: peace of mind is one of the most precious gifts we can have, and to protect it, sometimes we have to let go of certain relationships, of draining conversations, or of social gatherings that no longer bring us joy. Maybe in the past, you patiently sat through hours of complaining, subtle jabs, or tense family dinners, because you thought it was necessary to keep the peace or maintain the relationship. But as you grow older, your tolerance for negativity starts to wear thin. You no longer feel the need to carry emotional weight that doesn't belong to you. You don't have to prove anything anymore. You're no longer interested in connections that leave you feeling tired or emotionally drained. One harsh look, one judgmental comment, or a conversation filled with criticism is enough to make your entire day feel heavy. And the truth is, why keep putting yourself through that? Choosing to protect your peace isn't selfish, it's a kind act toward yourself. Because at this stage in life, time is no longer something to waste. Every visit, every conversation, every interaction should feel meaningful and light, not burdensome. So instead of trying to please everyone, you become selective. You start choosing the gatherings that feel nourishing. You choose to spend time with people who truly listen, who don't judge, who make you feel uplifted rather than weighed down. And if that means you go out less, attend fewer events, or decline more invitations, so be it. You don't have to hold on to every relationship, especially the ones that cost you your inner calm. The people who truly care about you will understand. those who make you feel small or emotionally exhausted. Maybe they were never really meant to stay. So choose peace. Choose yourself. Because you deserve a life that feels calm, free, and true, one that isn't tied down by the things that leave your heart feeling heavy. There was a time when every invitation, a coffee date, a small gathering, or a casual dinner, felt exciting. You loved the idea of getting out, seeing people, sharing stories, and feeling like you were part of the fast-moving rhythm of life. But then, one day, something shifted. You realize that home is where you feel truly at ease. It's not that you've become closed off. And it's certainly not because you've lost interest in life. It's because you've lived enough, met enough people, and had enough conversations to understand this simple truth: true comfort, safety, and authenticity live in the space you call your own. At home, there's no need to perform, no pressure to make small talk, laugh at the right moments, or worry about what others think. You're free to sit in your favorite chair, brew your tea just the way you like it, play an old song, and exhale. There are no masks, no expectations, just you, exactly as you are. When we're younger, we often believe that a full calendar equals a full life. But with age comes the realization that depth can exist in stillness. It's in watering the flowers on your porch, rereading a book you once loved, or sitting by the window simply watching the rain fall. These quiet moments start to mean more than the noise. Sometimes, the act of going out, navigating loud places, unfamiliar settings, fast-paced conversations, can feel more draining than uplifting. And that's when you begin to ask yourself, do I really want to go, or am I just trying to please someone else? Over time, the answer becomes clear. You no longer need to be out there to feel like you belong. You found your belonging in the peace of your own space, in the little rituals that bring you joy, and in the calm that only home can offer. Staying in is no longer a passive choice. It's an intentional one. A choice to live slowly, live genuinely, and live deeply, in the one place that always understands you best, your own familiar, comforting home. There were times in life when it felt like the more friends you had, the better. Your calendar was packed, your phone contacts were endless, and every meetup felt like a chance to connect, or at least to feel like you were part of something bigger. But over time, you began to realize something important: being surrounded by people doesn't always mean being truly connected. As we get older, our hearts become more discerning. We no longer feel the need to keep in touch with everyone, nor do we want to spend time on relationships that exist out of habit or politeness. Instead, we begin to choose quality over quantity. One friend who truly understands you, who listens when you're silent, who shows up when you need them, is worth far more than 10 who only check in when they see a post on social media. You start to feel the difference between surface-level small talk and the kind of conversations that warm your soul. You stop chasing numbers and instead hold on to the connections that run deep. The ones where you don't have to impress anyone. Where you can show up just as you are, with your joys, your struggles, and even your quiet moments. Genuine friendship now means honesty, trust, and presence, not performance. You also let go of the pressure to keep up or attend every gathering just to maintain appearances. You know now that real friends don't need constant contact to stay close. Weeks or even months may pass without a word, but with one message or one visit, it feels like no time has passed at all. And somewhere along the way, you smile quietly to yourself, realizing that even though your circle may have grown smaller, you are far from lonely. Because the ones who remain aren't just acquaintances, they are your true companions. Let go of the excess. Keep what's meaningful. Because in friendship, sometimes one honest, loyal heart is more than enough. There are seasons in life when we rush through the days, afraid of being left behind, afraid of being forgotten, and trying to live up to what the world expects of us. But then, somewhere along the way, as the pressures begin to fade, we start to slow down. And in that slowing down, we discover something truly valuable, a sense of peace. You stop worrying about whether you're busy enough, social enough, or visible enough. Instead, you begin to ask yourself, what do I really want? And more often than not, the answer isn't found at crowded parties or in endless small talk. It's in quiet afternoons, sipping a warm cup of tea, listening to an old song, or simply walking under the late-day sun. Silence is no longer empty, it becomes a space for reflection, for reconnecting with yourself. You begin to treasure your time, free from the noise of expectations and the demands of others' schedules. Suddenly, the smallest moments become the most meaningful: a good book, birdsong in the morning, a grandchild's hug. They touch your heart in ways that stay with you. Your definition of happiness and success begins to shift. You no longer feel the need to prove anything. You live not to be seen, but to feel whole. Not showing up everywhere doesn't mean you're pulling away, it means you're finally living with intention, clarity, and depth. And that, perhaps, is the most beautiful part of growing older: living at your own pace, listening to your heart, and finally finding joy in the stillness. There are seasons in life when we move at a relentless pace, always chasing something, trying to keep up, afraid of being left behind. We say yes to every invitation, fill every hour, and try to meet every unspoken expectation. We stay busy, not always because we want to, but because we think we have to. Society tells us that being productive, social, and constantly engaged means we're doing something right. But over time, as the years pass and the noise settles, something shifts. One day, you stop and ask yourself, what truly brings me joy? And suddenly, the answers change. The crowded rooms, the small talk, the constant activity, they no longer hold the same appeal. What once felt exciting now feels exhausting. And in their place, you begin to discover the quiet beauty of simplicity. You find peace in small, ordinary moments, sipping a warm cup of tea in your favorite chair, listening to an old record that stirs memories, or taking an unhurried walk as the sun begins to set. Silence is no longer something to fill. It becomes a companion, a space where your thoughts breathe, where your heart softens, where your soul feels at home. You begin to value solitude, not as loneliness, but as freedom. You no longer measure your life by how many events you attend or how many people you know. You start measuring it by how at ease you feel, how deeply you connect with yourself, and how present you are in the moments that matter. The definition of success evolves. You stop needing to prove yourself. You no longer strive to be everywhere or to please everyone. You begin to live more slowly, more intentionally. You start honoring your own rhythm instead of keeping up with the world's pace. And if that means saying no more often, choosing rest over routine, or spending more time at home than out, it's not because you're pulling away from life. It's because you're finally living on your own terms. That's the quiet beauty of growing older, realizing that happiness isn't something to chase, it's something you create. Not in the loud, busy moments, but in the still, sacred ones. A life that's slow enough to feel, quiet enough to listen, and peaceful enough to truly live. And now, as you look back on the road you've traveled, allow yourself to gently accept this truth: you no longer need to be everywhere, see everyone, or maintain relationships that no longer bring you joy. Because living in alignment with who you are, living with intention, depth, and quiet clarity, is one of the greatest gifts that comes with growing older. You don't have to feel guilty for choosing to stay home instead of attending another social event. You don't need to explain why you've decided to keep only a few meaningful relationships in your life. Peace of mind doesn't come from how many people are around you, it comes from how comfortable you feel within yourself. True friendship doesn't fade with time, nor does it rely on frequent meetings. It lives in quiet understanding, in lasting trust, and in the comfort of knowing that no matter how long it's been, there's always a warm place for each other in the heart. If today's message spoke to you, feel free to leave a comment below, share your thoughts, or simply let us know how it made you feel. And don't forget to like and subscribe, so you won't miss future content made just for you, someone who's learning to live each day with grace, peace, and presence. Because growing older isn't the end, it's the beginning of a deeper, richer, and more freeing chapter than ever before.